Karine, President Biden is the oldest president in U.S. history. Why does White House staff treat him like a baby?
No one treats the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, like a baby.
So there's this book that says
that's ridiculous.
When staff walked back
claim.
What sounded like a call for regime change in Russia, the president, quote, rather than owning his failure, he fumed to friends about how he was treated like a toddler. Was John Kennedy ever babied like that?
So look, I'll say this. There's going to be always a range of books that are about every administration, as you know, that's going to have a variety of claims. That is not unusual. That happens all the time. And we're not going to litigate those here. That's something that we're not going to speak to. There is one thing that I do want to, because I think I was asked this question last week by one of your colleagues about this particular excerpt that they were referring to. And so I'll say this, we did see the excerpt, the context of the excerpt, and it seemed to be making the opposite overall point about how the value of his experience and wisdom resulted in rallying the free world against authoritarianism, which is important. We have seen this. You all have seen this. And passage of the most historic agenda in recent history in his handling of foreign policy, like rallying the world around Ukraine, as you just heard from our national security advisor, who laid out in really good questions that your colleagues asked about how the president is moving forward, about Ukraine.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Sleepy Joe's age, because that is what the mainstream liberal media is focused on, because there's clearly and obviously an attempt to get Democrats to actually move on from Joe Biden. Okay, Joe Biden's job is essentially done. Okay, he's an empty suit, empty head, and at this point, he is more trouble than he's worth. Okay, being 80 years old, gonna be 81 soon. The guy clearly cannot. He just is not physically capable of running for office again. Everybody knows it, and everybody knows it's going to be a potential disaster to run Biden against Trump, who probably is going to be the GOP nominee, especially considering how tight the polls are, right? And again, that's why you have mainstream liberal media talking about it, because in my opinion, I think that because the polls are tight and the indictments against Trump have backfired, the mainstream liberal media is panicking, and they're going down a list of options in order to ensure that Orange Man does not become president of the United States again, okay, including trying to take him off the ballot, aka trying to overthrow democracy. But hey, if you ask the cackling hens at The View, they'll tell you that the American people don't think that Biden's too old because he's clearly and obviously out of his mind and he's too old, he's frail. No, it's not that. It's because Fox News told the American people that Biden is too old, and that's why people have an issue with Biden's age.
But age is something we have to address in this country. It is a factor with Joe Biden. There's a Wall Street Journal poll that came out. 73% of Americans are worried that he is too old to be president again. And he is, going to be the Democratic nominee.
But true, I don't mean to interrupt you, but isn't it true that Fox and all those right-wing stations keep showing pictures of him tripping, or the way people trip?
Yeah, but 73% of Americans, that's just not Fox News viewers. That's a lot of Democrats.
And he's overweight, and he's in terrible shape.
And he's only 3 years younger than Biden.
Well, and I think both is an issue. The biggest voting bloc going into this election will be Gen Zers and millennials, and our generation feels underrepresented by two, frankly, people, octogenarians are soon to be running to run the country.
Look, I've never understood why people focus so much on Joe Biden's age. He is in very good physical shape. He exercises regularly. He actually eats a vegetable or two on a daily basis, he is in far better shape. Because I've actually eaten with him.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, again, of course, they can't have a conversation about Biden and his age without bringing up Trump and saying that Trump's overweight, he's old. Well, again, the difference clearly is that Trump is not tripping all over the place. He's also coherent. He can speak well. He still has his brain intact, okay? Can't really say that about Joe Biden. And that's the difference. But regardless, this has sparked a conversation about age and whether or not Biden is too old and should he step down or step aside for some younger Democrat to run, somebody like Gavin Newsom, who I think everybody just kind of assumes is going to be the next person up, that who knows, he possibly could still run. Maybe we might see Hillary throw her name in the arena. But the one person that nobody really talks about, which, you know, typically they would be talking about as Biden's replacement, is Kamala Harris. And the reason why is because she's the most unpopular vice president in history, okay? And nobody, including Democrats, want to see her be president. Kind of disrespectful to talk about Gavin Newsom and Hillary more so than Kamala Harris in regards to who can replace Biden if he's too old. However, Kamala has come out here and told the world that, hey, she's ready. She's ready to become president if, in fact, Biden is too old and he can't make it. Take a look.
And so I will say to you that I think the American people ultimately want to know that their president delivers and Joe Biden delivers.
Questions about the president's age often go hand in hand with questions about how you would step in the role, you know, if necessary. Do you feel prepared for that possibility? And serving as vice president prepared you for that job?
Yes.
And how would you describe that process?
Well, first of all, I'm answering your hypothetical. But Joe Biden's going to be fine. So that is not going to come to fruition. But let us also understand that every vice president understands that when they take the oath, that they must be very clear about the responsibility they may have to take over the job of being president. I am no different.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, before that clip that I played of Kamala Harris talking about how she's ready to be president if Biden can't go, she was basically talking about Joe Biden as if Joe Biden is some type of genius, right? That he's competent, that he's actually there, that he's not, out of his mind. And if she truly believes that, I'm assuming she's just giving politician talk, but she actually truly believes that Biden is mentally capable of being president, then she has already disqualified herself from being president, right? Anybody that looks at Biden and thinks that this man can continue to do the job, clearly, okay, should not be anywhere near the Oval Office, okay? I'm just saying. Kamala Harris is one of the most unpopular politicians in history, and the Democrats know that. The reason why you know that is because these people, okay, they're very, very, very concerned that Biden's going to lose to Trump, okay? And they're concerned about Biden's age as well, too, okay? Which is part of the reason that he probably will lose to Trump. That in the economy, he's just a disaster of a president. The fact that they have not basically demanded that Biden step down tells you everything you need to know about how they feel about Kamala, okay? They don't feel like Kamala would do a better job than Biden, or they don't feel like that Kamala will have a better chance of beating Trump than Biden. So therefore, they're just sticking with Biden, right? Again, the fact that they're not demanding that Biden step down tells you everything you need to know about the confidence that Democrats have in Kamala. Again, it's a very, very, very bad situation for the Democrats. It really is, okay? But Joe Biden's not the only politician that has lost his mind at the Capitol. You also have Mitch McConnell, who on camera twice now, recently has essentially had some type of neurological event that we really don't have any answers to why this continues to happen. And that is also driving the conversation about age and whether or not these politicians are too old to be in office. However, the Capitol Hill physician came out and said there's nothing wrong with McConnell. Okay, McConnell's fine. He's cleared all the tasks. There's nothing wrong with him. Even CNN's medical analyst had to call BS on the Capitol physician's explanation of what was going on with Mitch McConnell. Take a look.
So, Dr. Reiner, I want to get your reaction to the letter that we have been given, right, from McConnell's team and a physician, right, who states that there's no evidence McConnell had a stroke or seizure or is suffering from any other diseases like Parkinson's. That's what they specify. They say that the senator has been evaluated by four neurologists. Does all of this sound right to you?
No, because I think to most physicians, the two very similar episodes that Senator McConnell had about 5 weeks apart really are very typical of a focal seizure. And I think you need to really read between the lines of what Dr. Monahan wrote. He wrote, there is no evidence that you have a seizure disorder. The senator was administered an EEG, which is an electrical test of the brain. Think of it as sort of an EKG of the brain.
Yes.
But an EEG will only be abnormal in somebody with epilepsy about half the time, because it's a snapshot of what's going on with the electrical activity of your brain at the moment the test is done. So if he's not having a seizure, it's not likely to be abnormal. So what Dr. Monahan wrote was, there is no evidence that you have a seizure, although clinically that is what it really appears to be.
Right. Okay, so McConnell's office has attributed the episodes, their attribution is lightheadedness, as a lingering symptom from the concussion that he suffered in that fall that he had back in March. Now, when you look at it through that lens, is that reasonable?
No. And I'm unaccustomed to saying that I agree with Senator Paul, but I agree with Senator Paul. I take care of plenty of folks who have lightheadedness, either in the setting of dehydration from working outside in the hot DC summer, or after an illness like influenza or even COVID. And most people with lightheadedness feel lightheaded. They feel a little woozy. Maybe they feel they have to sit down. Patients with lightheadedness don't present with this sort of staring off into the periphery, unable to speak for 10 to 30 seconds. That's very consistent with a focal seizure. It would be really better for the senator's team to just be a little bit more transparent, because that explanation is a little laughable.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Reiner.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? Even CNN's medical analyst is calling BS on reports that Mitch McConnell is just fine. Now, if only CNN could call BS on the idea that Joe Biden is just fine. Both of these guys are not fine, okay? Dianne Feinstein is not fine, okay? It is not okay for us to continue to have politicians who are 80 plus years old in office. And that is one of the things that I think may be good about this whole conversation regarding age, that maybe, just maybe, the American people would think twice before electing a nursing home patient to run the country. Now, this is especially true if they clearly have signs of neurological degeneration, which Biden had these signs when he was running on the campaign trail, okay? Clearly the guy was too old when he was running, and that's the biggest difference. The biggest difference is that, again, their age is starting to show in regards to their cognitive function. But people lined it up and voted Democrat anyways. They voted for Biden anyways, and look what you got, right? The country's a disaster, and we don't even know who's running it. Clearly, Biden's not running it. The guy's on vacation a third of the time. He's on vacation a third of the time. He's not running anything. He's not doing anything. The guy can't speak. He can't walk. He's a nursing home patient. But hey, vote blue no matter who. Vote blue no matter who. But again, I think that you're seeing a lot of this talk about age, Biden's age more specifically, because I think there's going to be a movement now with the polls being so tight. These people are not just going to let Trump become president again. If things continue to go the way that things are going, Trump is going to be president. I'm so serious. Like, I get more confident of that by today. Okay, the indictments have backfired. Everything has backfired. They're literally trying to remove the guy from the ballot using the 14th Amendment. That's how desperate they are. And with the polls being so tight, they're not going to chance it. Okay, they're not going to chance it that Trump is going to win. Okay, the last thing they want is Trump and Biden on the same debate stage with each other, right? That's the last thing that they want, because Biden would get exposed to the world in a 2-hour debate with Trump. Okay, there's nowhere to hide because it's only them two on stage. They don't want that. They don't want that. Biden's age is a real issue. His mental health, his mental condition is a real issue, and they know it. They know it. And that's why you're seeing these talks about Biden's age ramp up, because I think they're preparing to have him step down. I don't think that Biden is going to be the Democratic nominee. I don't think so. I think that it's going to be somebody else. Now, again, I could be wrong about that, but at this point, just paying attention to how these people have reacted to Trump essentially getting closer and closer and closer to taking back the White House, and the desperation at this point, they might just decide, you know what, if we can't outright eliminate the guy through taking him off the ballot or putting him in jail, which again, those things probably won't work. Well, we just need to have a different nominee, right? We need to have a nominee who's not going to wet the bed on stage with Trump and allow Trump to cruise into the White House, right? So I think they're going to have to replace him, except, it seems that their replacements aren't really good options, okay? Like, for example, Kamala Harris, she has issues just like Joe Biden, right? I'm not sure if her mental capabilities are much better than Biden's at this point. Just listen to her talk. Their best bet would be Gavin Newsom. However, California is a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. He might be a slick talker, okay? He might be somebody that can get the cackling hens to vote for him because he looks good, right? But again, California is a disaster. His state is a disaster. He's a terrible governor. But then again, you do have a lot of people in this country that are Trump deranged, and they'll line up and vote Democrat just simply because they hate Trump. And that's part of the reason why we're in this situation. So I'm just saying, overall, I think that the conversations about Biden's age is because they're basically trying to push him on out of there, right? The writing's on the wall. The guy looks like he's going to get beat by Trump. They're not going to risk it, right? I think they'll run somebody else before they allow Biden to lose to Trump like this, okay? Because that seems like that's what's going to happen. So, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.